20-year-old student Julia Chan and 27-year-old graphic designer Michael Williams are suing club promoter Ian McDonald for non-payment of services rendered.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. That means you. Thank you. Your Honor, this is case number 101 on the calendar in the matter of Chan Williams versus McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Who's going to speak for the two of you?
I'll speak first.
It's your claim that you did some work for the defendant who owns a bar in creating a website for him. You are owed $2,000 for the work that you did in creating this website. The defendant's answer is a rather novel one. Let me read the last line just so that you understand what his defense is. Okay. None of the people who work at the club expects to get paid. That's your defense.
Correct.
This isn't run by some charitable organization, this club of yours. Is it a club or a bar? What is it?
It's an event promotion company, and we do, this is referring to the Sunday night club that we do.
Explain the club to me.
It's a drum and bass hip-hop club.
Do you have a room?
2 rooms, sound system, lighting.
And people come there to dance?
Exactly.
Do you serve alcohol?
Yes.
You have a license to serve alcohol?
The bar owns the license.
How much admission do you charge?
$5.
And how long have you had the club?
Nearly 2 years.
Is it running up and running? Does it do okay?
Yes, does well.
And do you do anything else other than own this club?
Yeah, I do a lot of the work behind it.
Other than the club itself? I'm not talking about Sunday night. I mean,
for a living?
A carpenter, a plumber, a shoe salesman. Do you do anything else other than the club?
Yeah, I'm a web designer.
You make money from that?
Yes.
You make good money from that?
Fair money.
Good. You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, I did.
How much did you earn on your tax returns?
I don't remember.
Think hard. Everybody, I mean, was it millions?
No, not at all.
Less than 100,000?
Yes.
Then you would remember exactly how much you put down that you earned on your tax returns, sir. So be very careful when you give me your answer.
About 30,000.
And what portion of that was from the club?
None of the club is filed in my tax returns. That's just for my separate job.
Is this club in Costa Rica?
No.
It's here in the United States of America?
Yes, it is.
So what do you mean it's from a separate job?
My tax, I don't claim the club earnings or loss in my taxes.
Why not?
We aren't a registered business yet.
Well, you say you've been doing well. You have gigs every Sunday night. You collect $5 a person. The club is doing fine. So somebody's making money. It has to be you who's paying taxes on the money that you earn at the club.
The bar that we contract through pays their taxes. And
you have a contract with a bar?
Well, we contract that night, the Sunday night.
So you have a contract?
Yes.
Is it a written contract or an oral contract?
Oral contract.
Okay.
We're in there Sundays. We do our job.
You're not going to get away from your taxes yet. How many people are at the club on any given Sunday night?
It's really hard to say.
Well, think hard. 50, 75. You say the club is doing well. These people have been to the club, have you not? Mm-hmm. Approximately how many people are there on any given Sunday?
Probably about a couple hundred people.
Not a couple hundred. We average 100.
I'd say a couple hundred people.
Let's say he averages 100.
Okay.
No.
Okay? Just a minute. Let's say he averages 100. 100 at $5 a person. That would be $500, wouldn't it?
Every day.
$500 every Sunday. And there are usually 4 Sundays in a month.
Correct.
So that would be about $2,000, a little bit more sometimes. There are 3 Sundays in a month, but let's say $2,000 a month. And Mr. McDonald, according to your defense, none of the people who work at the club expects to get paid. So the club makes $24,000 a year.
There are other expenses of people that don't work for us.
Like
promotion, for printing flyers.
Yes.
Anything that we out-contract, we do have to pay for. Plane tickets, flying talent.
So who keeps the books on that?
Me and my partner do.
You and your partner?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Step up, partner. Name?
Hello. Carlo.
You have a last name?
Fox.
I didn't ask you your social security number. I just asked you your name. What else do you do other than work in the club, Mr. Fox?
I pretty much work in the club scene. I also help my girlfriend who has a promotional business. Okay. And that's aside from the business that me and him have together.
Now, did you file tax returns last year?
No,
no, you didn't. Right?
No, I didn't. And that's because the club did not turn a profit, though.
Oh, that's baloney.
And I can explain to you why it is that the club didn't turn a profit.
Well,
you
had 5 minutes to think about it, and I'm dying to hear the answer, Mr.
Okay,
Fox.
We have existing past debt.
We have existing past debt, but even that totally aside, we bring in big DJs. We bring in big talented DJs that bring a lot of people. We have to sometimes fly them from other cities. Once to twice a month, we're flying in DJs from other cities, and they could cost anywhere from $300 to $1,500. And so it's like, and yes, on those nights that we have $1,500 DJs, more people will come. We'll have maybe 250, 300 people down there.
Really?
But at the same time, if you do the math on that, 300 people at $5 a head, that's breaking even. And so it's for the most part.
I wouldn't run a business where I was just breaking even.
But we love it. It's like something that we care about the music.
So it's like a charity.
It's not charity, but
it's like a creative thing.
Now let's get back to the lawsuit, now that I've tortured them sufficiently. Tell me about the creation of this website that you discussed with them and what the financial arrangement was.
Okay, back in August, while we were at the Sunday night club, Ian approached us with the offer that if we agreed to be in charge of...
I didn't approach them.
I didn't ask you anything yet.
That if we agreed to be in charge of certain duties such as talent management, video recording, hosting interviews, and all this is for the website. Mike here is a graphic designer, so he helped out with a lot of the graphics for the website. And also, I did a lot of the articles for the website, and he also is a resident DJ. And if we were to be responsible solely for these duties for 6 months, that he would give us $2,000. And we haven't been paid.
Did you do what you were supposed to do on the website?
It was more than just a website, too.
Tell me what you did. See, you can't talk. Good.
What we do is live video of the DJs that they bring in. We put those on the website. In fact, as an added bonus...
So you videotape?
I videotape them, yeah. And I've also has them on my website, whosmoke.com. I've put the stuff that I've recorded, I put it on my website, which is like a nice thing to do because web space costs money. So I do donate a little bit of mine. But we do interviews.
Donate.
Well, donate as a friendly gesture, exactly. It's donation.
Did I say anything to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Me and Julia were dating, so I thought it was friends working together to better the club.
And later today...
Who's Tamara?
I was a made-up person.
So you lied to the police?
I was drunk, so I was just mumbling out words.
Hey, don't try to get over on me. I'm smarter than you'll ever be in your whole life.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy, Julia Chan, and her business partner, Michael Williams, say they designed a website for club promoter Ian McDonald. Julia and Michael claim they've never been paid.
So you had this discussion with him, and he said, let's do the work for 6 months, let's get it up and running, and then I'll give you $2,000. 6 months came and went, you did what you were supposed to do, no money.
Yeah.
Now you can talk.
The reality of the agreement is me and Julia were dating, so we were close. I felt comfortable with her, and I know Mike's work on whosmoke.com. I felt comfortable with him. We sat down as friends to talk about the future of compression. We did not approach them, this is what we need. Do you want to have a job? It was, let's sit down, we're friends, let's talk about what we want to do in the future with the club. Let's talk about the website, let's talk about artist management, everything, like they said. And in that conversation, we talked about potential money that can be made, which I said, I can see money being made. I can see $2,000 being made for you guys if you put in a good 6 months of work. I didn't think that this was a situation of they're trying to find a day job and I'm the one who's going to pay their bills. I thought it was friends working together to better the club.
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Mr. McDonald, let me explain something to you. You made an agreement with these people. You said, listen, we're starting up this club. We're trying to get it off the ground. I can't afford to pay anything right now. But if you do certain things, 6 months from now, the club's going to be up and running. We're going to be making some money. And I can see paying you $2,000 for the work that you do. Your club's up and running. Your club's making money. There's no question in my mind that your club is making money because that's how you two guys are supporting yourself primarily. And with all the money that you're saving by not paying taxes like the rest of us schnooks, you can afford to pay them $2,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It never was a job in the first place.
Business-wise, I've been screwed enough to not get screwed anymore, and this was an agreement.
If I could put in my little 2 cents, I'll tell you what changed her mind, and it's that he broke up with her.
I don't know what to say about that, honestly. I think it's completely made up.
I think she was like secretly like in love with him more than she admitted, and I think that she had to take it to this level because she wasn't satisfied with what was going on personally between them.
I don't want it to be a he said, she said thing, but there's no vendetta on my part.
Don't work with friends.
16-year-old Angela Veers and her guardian, sales manager Patty Cooper, are suing Angela's adoptive mother, dietary manager Sherry Veers, for money taken from a settlement account.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Veers Cooper versus Veers. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Tell me your first name.
Angela?
Angela, person that you're standing next to is your guardian.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
She is also a relative of yours. Is that right?
Yes.
How is she related to you?
She's my aunt.
And the defendant is your adoptive mother.
Yes.
And she's also related to you in some way, biologically. Tell me about that.
She's my aunt.
She's another aunt.
Yes.
And I gather from reading the complaint that you've lived with a lot of different people. Is that right?
Yes.
And you went to live with and was subsequently adopted by the defendant, your aunt, when you were how old?
14.
How old are you now?
16.
And how long did you live with her in total?
Approximately about a year. Maybe a little less.
And it didn't work out?
No.
And ultimately you came back to live with your other aunt, who is now your guardian?
Yes.
With your permission?
Yes.
This case is about a settlement that you had. When you were a little girl, you were bitten by a dog, and there was a lawsuit and a settlement. How much was that settlement?
Settlement was $9,000.
And there were a couple of withdrawals from that settlement for some small items. Is that right?
Correct.
Way back when you were younger. What were those items?
One, I believe, was going to the dentist or the orthodontist, checking out what damages there was done after things had healed. And then the second time was to pay a back medical bill from when the dog bite happened.
And this lawsuit is about the remainder of that money, which was how much when you adopted her?
It was $9,000 when we went into the bank, got the savings, and put it into our name.
And in the year that she lived with you...
Actually, she lived with me a little bit longer.
How much longer?
We got her when she was 13, and
Okay.
she stayed with us until she was 15. And I went through a divorce, and I was starting to do a little bit of partying and wrong lifestyle for her. So that's when my sister came forward, and so I can get back on my feet again.
Ultimately, you took all of her money and spent it.
But I used it on her.
For what?
For clothes. When my ex and I adopted her,
Uh-huh.
we weren't financially stable ourselves.
Then you shouldn't have adopted her.
Well, I did not want her to go into a foster home or anybody else. We wanted to keep her into our family.
Then you didn't have to adopt her. You could have taken her. You could have become her legal guardian.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, I don't care what you thought about, but when you adopt a child, you assume financial responsibility for the child. You can't take her money. What makes you think you can take her money?
But I understand that. I've been making payments for her dentist because I am reliable. So I've been making $90 monthly payments for her.
You took $9,000 of her money. How much was her dentist?
For her braces and stuff was $4,000.
Okay. Now, you could have left her money in this settlement account, in the minor account where it was, left that money there, and you could have petitioned the court. You say, I need some of this money to pay a dental bill, because she needs orthodontia as a result of it. That's fine. And the court would have given you, in all probability, the ability to take out that money, $4,000. So you got 9, you take away 4, leaves $5,000. Then she would have had $5,000. What'd you spend the rest of the money on?
But we used that to get her school clothes and her accidentals that she needed.
You have to do that yourself. You're her mother. Once you adopt a child, you become her parent. This settlement money is her money. It's her money for her future. It's not your money to spend. Don't you understand that?
Yes.
Then why did you do it?
Because when we adopted her, we thought that money was ours, so we can use that for her.
Well, let me ask you this question. Who had she lived with before?
My sister.
This sister?
Yes.
Okay. And she had $9,000. And how long had she lived with your sister?
Until she was 13.
Fine. Did your sister take out her money?
No.
You knew that. She lived with your sister a long time. And she didn't take out money for clothes or incidentals or anything else. She paid for it.
But at the time, I also was married, and my ex insisted that we do that, and it's hard to say no. I mean, it's
hard to say no. You understood that Angela had lived with your sister most of a substantial portion of her life. She had this settlement money. The money was relatively intact. So all of a sudden, you adopt her. Quick, go to the bank, take out her money, and spend it. That's outrageous. I mean, I don't know what else to say to you, except to say that you're suing for the maximum amount of jurisdiction of this court, which is $5,000. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I know I was in the wrong.
I just hope we can all go back to the way things were before.
I'm just glad it's all done and over with.
All I ever wanted is to put things back the way they were.
Good. Oh.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Epps versus Ward. Step forward, please.
24-year-old bus driver Matisha Epps is suing her former friend, 22-year-old college student Melinda Ward, for an unpaid loan for a car.
Well, there's certain things, Miss Epps, in your complaint that I understand and some that I'm a little confused about. So let me start with what I do understand. You tell me if I'm correct. This was a friend of yours?
No, this is my cousin's girlfriend.
But she was a friend of yours?
Yeah.
And she wanted to buy a car?
Yes.
And she asked you for a loan for the down payment on the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you wrote out a check for the dealership for how much money? $2,500?
$2,500.
And you post-dated the check?
Yes, Your Honor.
She said to you, according to your complaint, don't worry, by the time the date comes when the check is going to be deposited, I will have enough money so that I'll give it to you and the check will be covered.
No, Your Honor. She's supposed to pay it to the finance company.
So she was going to pay it herself so that they would never cash your check?
Exactly, Your Honor.
Well, she didn't do that.
No.
And they cashed your check?
Exactly.
And you were forced to make good on that check?
Yes.
Now, Miss Ward says she called you before the time that they cashed your check and told you to put a stop payment on the check because she wasn't going to be able to come up with the money.
Yes, my ex-fiance called Matisha Epps a week prior to October 21st and asked her to place stop payment on the check. For whatever reason, she didn't do so.
Just a second, because you weren't going to have the money.
Yes.
Did he ever call you?
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
And what did he say when he called you?
He told me that they weren't going to have the money yet, and so I could put a stop payment on the check.
And why didn't you do that?
It was just like a couple of days in advance. I don't believe it was a week in advance. It was just like maybe a couple of days in advance when he called and told me that they weren't going to have the money. And by the time that I called the bank, it was too late. They had posted the check.
But he called you before.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you stop payment on it? Why didn't you call immediately that day?
I work 6 days a week and I work long hours.
If you work 6 days a week and long hours, it would seem to me that $2,500 is important to you. So now I understand, and I understand that you made the call. Did you, in fact, buy that car? Is not an answer.
Okay. Yes, I did buy the car.
Good. So you got the benefit of her $2,500. Is that right?
Yes.
So what difference does it make? What are you? Are you stupid? Is he stupid? If you said to me I couldn't afford to buy the car, and I didn't buy the car, but you bought the car using her $2,500, And now you don't think that you have to pay her back?
Well, had she have placed stop payment on the check, I wouldn't have even had the car.
Just a second. You're some piece of work. Now, what kind of moral character do you think that I believe that you have because you didn't pay her back the $2,500?
I tried.
What do you mean you tried? What does that mean you tried?
Well, after the check went through, my ex-fiance and I attempted to give her $200 in which she could have put towards the check. She said she didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah. She gave us the number to call whoever the financial company that was dealing with the check. They didn't want to deal with us because it was her check. So we definitely tried.
Well, you're making payments now on the car, aren't you?
No, I don't have the car anymore.
Where is it?
It got totaled in an accident.
When?
Last July.
You think I should believe everything you're telling me?
I don't have a reason to lie.
Go ahead.
I also like to say, this is my cousin, Miss Epps is my cousin. I went to her house. We did the best we could, honestly.
No, you didn't. You did the best you could. You were driving around in a car that she paid for. The best you could is to pay her back the $2,500.
That's what I'm saying. When we realized that we weren't going to have all the money, we went to talk with her. We contacted her, and we also went to talk with her about that. I went to her with money in my hand. She said, because like she said, because she works and everything, I was under the impression that, you know, she didn't want to deal with it. She told me to deal with it, you know, the best way I could.
Did you ever hear the expression, no good deed goes unpunished?
Yes.
That's what happened. They are two amoral people. I was sympathetic with them at first. If he called and said, listen, we don't have the money, and you didn't get around to calling and putting a stop payment on the check, but then they went ahead and bought the car and paid for it. How long did you drive that car before it was totaled?
A year. And
during that year, if they had said, every month I'm going to give you $200, you would have had your money.
Yes.
You didn't do that, did you? Well, the answer is yes or no. Did you do that?
We wasn't allowed to. No, we wasn't allowed to, Your Honor. If I can explain to you.
No, you can't explain to me. You mean to tell me that if every month you put $200 in an envelope and left it in her mailbox, that she would have taken the $100 bills and thrown them away? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now, I'm a,
What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm unemployed right now.
Right.
I was a custodian.
Right, you're unemployed right now. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Goodbye.
Bodies are excused and they step out.
My credit was damaged.
It's my cousin. I love her.
It took away from vacations for me and my kids.
Sorry about that, too.
I apologize. I hope you can forgive me.
I can. I have no hard feelings at all.
20-year-old Jessica Pinedo is suing the father of her baby, 23-year-old pipefitter Travis Burke, for the return of personal belongings. Travis says he took what was his.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, case number 89 on the calendar in the matter of Pinedo versus Burke.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Pinedo, you and the defendant lived together for a brief period of time.
Yes.
You also have a child together.
Yes.
And when you separated, it is your claim that the defendant kept some property that is rightfully yours.
Yes.
The defendant says that when you separated, you split the property. You took some, he kept some, and everything was split fairly. When did you start to live together?
We started living together in May.
In May of 2001?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a baby?
Yes.
When was he born?
February 1st of 2002.
And when did you and the defendant cease living together?
July of 2001.
So you were a few months pregnant at that point?
I found out I was pregnant at the end of June. On July 13th, I found out I was about 6.5 weeks pregnant. That was my first ultrasound.
Okay. Now, what is it that you claim Mr. Burke has that belongs to you?
I had purchased a PlayStation 2 with about $300-400 worth of games, with a console, an extra controller, an entertainment center.
Okay, PlayStation. Very important for people who are expecting a child. What else did you purchase?
We purchased an entertainment center. I had purchased an entertainment center.
Now, that's a very interesting word that you used, Ms. Pinedo. You said we purchased an entertainment center.
Yes, I understand that. It was on my credit card, on my Best Buy account.
And those are the two things. Entertainment center and a PlayStation. And
There's
games.
there's other things.
Like what?
I had purchased a car stereo for a car that I had purchased because Travis didn't have a car. So it was too hard for me to get up and have to take him to work and then have to go to work as well.
Yeah. So?
So I purchased a car and I had put a new stereo and speakers in it.
So?
And when we had broken up, I had asked him for the car back. And he refused to give me the car back. I had reported the car stolen. And then he went ahead and returned the car because he knew I had reported the car stolen. And when he had returned the car stripped of the stereo, stripped of the speakers, and had locked all the doors, didn't leave me with a key, and I had to pay $150 to have a key made for the car.
Now, what else was purchased that you did, in fact, take with you when you separated? Because that's his defense.
Right. Well, everything else that I had taken with me, I had already had when we moved in together. I had my computer desk with my computer and my bed.
What did he purchase?
He didn't purchase anything for the apartment.
Well,
he came to the apartment with a couch.
Mr. Burke, you say she got the TV and the DVD player.
That's stuff we had bought together.
Did you take a TV and a DVD player?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes.
Who purchased that?
I did.
You mean you put it on your credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid for it?
I'm still paying for it to this day.
And you mean he contributed nothing
No.
to the TV and the DVD player?
No, I've made all the payments on my credit cards.
In what month were they purchased?
To be honest with you, I don't remember. They're on the receipts. The dates are on the
Prior
receipts.
to moving into the apartment together. We went shopping. She did have a Best Buy card. We bought a refrigerator, TV. She had bought me a DVD player before. The stereo and everything for the car, all gifts, PlayStation 2. There wasn't $400 worth of games. All that stuff was considered gifts.
Bull!
The stuff for the apartment wasn't gifts, but the other stuff, personal items to me. Why does she need to buy a stereo for me?
Just a second. Are you playing with me or what?
No.
All right. A refrigerator isn't a gift.
I said the stuff for the apartment was not considered a gift. Okay.
PlayStation is for the apartment. An entertainment center is for the apartment. A TV is for the apartment. A DVD player is for the apartment. When you talk about personal gifts for you, you're talking about underwear. There's a difference between underwear
Maybe
or
that's
a belt
what you buy
or
your
socks.
husband, but that's not what she buys me.
Well, maybe not. How much you pay in child support?
$380 a month.
Since when?
Since the judgment was last month.
The judgment was made on May 2nd, Your Honor, and there has not even been one check that I have received yet. I had called his work this week, and they said that they would be taking the first payment out today.
So far you haven't paid anything?
No, that's the wrong.
No, he has paid when the baby was first born. Before we went to court, he did pay when he felt like paying.
Okay. Let me see your bills. I want to know what you took out. You took the TV?
Yes.
You took the DVD player?
Yes, ma'am.
You left him the refrigerator?
I did not leave him the refrigerator. When I moved out, I only had 2 friends and my mother to help me.
No, I'm asking you. You bought a refrigerator that stayed in the apartment?
Yes, it had stayed in the apartment because I couldn't move it. When I came back to move it, it was gone.
Why were you going to move it?
Because I was moving out. 2 days after we broke up, I was driving to go get my oil change, which was...
Listen to me. Was he working at the time that you were living together?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were working?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I now lay gas lines for
What were you doing then?
Working in a machine shop.
Okay, and what kind of work were you doing?
I'm a pharmacy technician.
Okay, were you earning similar money?
I was earning double to what he was earning.
And were you putting all your money into the bank? Into a joint account? You had a joint account?
No, we did not have a joint account.
How did you work out the bills?
He paid half, I paid half.
Half the credit card bills?
Half the credit card bills he never paid.
Half the credit card bills had been run up on plastic surgery and other items for herself before we were together.
I'm talking about after you were together. I'm talking about how much money you gave her.
When those bills came, I paid half of them.
He paid half the utilities and half the rent.
Do you have any checks with you to show me that you paid?
No, it was a cash transaction. I didn't know this was going to come to this a year later.
Right.
You know, we were together, and that's how relationships work.
Right. And all of this stuff was purchased at the time that you were living together?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what did you leave with?
When I left...
TV, VCR.
Yes.
What else?
The DVD player.
DVD. What else?
My bed. My dresser.
Were those things that were purchased?
Those were things that were purchased before we were even together.
I'm not talking about those things. The TV, VCR, and DVD player you purchased when you moved in?
No, the DVD player and the TV were purchased while we moved in.
Okay. What else did you leave with?
That was all that I left with while we were living together.
Okay.
That was purchased while we were living together.
Okay. Plus a PlayStation?
Yes.
A refrigerator?
Yes, ma'am.
And what else did you get? You say you got?
Entertainment center.
Entertainment center.
Okay.
The car stereo.
Forget the car stereo. Listen, if you had to buy a car, didn't have to put an expensive stereo. Didn't it come with a radio?
Yes,
radio.
it had the stock
AM,
stereo.
FM radio. Turn it on, you hum along.
He asked me
with your
if I
bills, with your bills, you don't need a stereo. And I'm not entertaining stupidity.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She made a comment the other day, you know, I bought these things for you to try and make you happy when I was with you. Why would you say that if you wanted them all back? She bought them for me. It's a gift.
And later today,
I bought a bag, put horse manure in it. I did see her car, and I shook the horse manure onto the trunk of the car, and I got in my car, and I drove away.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jessica Pinedo says the father of her baby, Travis Burke, stole her personal belongings.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me how much the TV and the DVD player were.
The TV was about $500, and the DVD player was $189.
And the PlayStation?
I believe the receipt's in there. In
PlayStation?
The $300.
Refrigerator?
Was $542, I believe.
And the entertainment center?
Was $130.
You sure about all those figures?
It's all in the receipts. It came to $129.99, I believe.
Okay. And the VCR you say you had before?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So $500 plus $189, $689. That's the property you got. You got PlayStation and the games, plus $542 plus $130. $972. So let's say all these bills were paid. She got $689's worth of merchandise. You got $972 worth of merchandise. The only problem is she's still paying off the credit card. How much are you paying off on the credit card?
I had to get a bill consolidator because I had to go on disability because I almost lost our son twice. So I have a debt consolidator that pays approximately $10, $24, depending on who the creditor is, and then they automatically take something out of my account.
Well, it's clear that you only lived together for 2 months, so these bills could not have been paid off in 2 months on all the things that you bought. Is that right?
That's correct.
Total is $1,661 for all the items together.
You know, she made a comment the other day, you know, I bought these things for you to try and make you happy when I was with you. Why would you say that if you wanted them all back? She bought them for me. It's a gift.
Where is the PlayStation?
At my house.
And the refrigerator?
At my brother's house.
At your brother's house. What's it doing at your brother's house?
His garage. He needed a refrigerator in there.
Do you have a refrigerator?
But we have to rent one, Your Honor.
Good. What about the entertainment center?
I don't know where that is.
He sold it.
I've moved a couple times. It
was only worth $130 anyway.
It wasn't
right?
nothing big.
Right?
Yeah.
I just changed my mind about the money. Court will draft an order that within 5 days you are to deliver to her home the PlayStation and all the games, as well as the refrigerator that you get back from your brother within 5 days of this order. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That way she's paying for it and she has the use of it. Clear? Perfect. Thank you.
Judges are excused. You may step out.
Don't get mixed up with this one because she'll screw you over bad.
He's done a lot of bad things to me. He's cheated on me.
It's an ongoing battle.
Now we have a child together, so I'm just doing the best I can.
If it isn't with my son, it's something else.
And I've taken him back every single time.
She won't go get a job. She won't go do anything to better herself.
I've done, as best as I can with what's been dealt to me.
We've tried to work things out for a year now, off and on.
I hope that we can get along for our son.
Nothing but friends so that my son will see a nice, loving environment.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hill versus Pedo. Step forward, please.
Food clerk Lori Hill is suing her ex-husband, maintenance technician Dennis Pedo, for the return of child support. Dennis says Lori still owes him for an unpaid medical bill.
Ms. Hill, you and the defendant have 2 children together, 2 daughters.
That's correct.
And according to your complaint, both of the girls were living with the defendant. Was that by court order?
Yes.
How long had the children been living with the defendant?
About 8 years.
And how old are they?
15 and 12.
What are their names? 15-year-old.
Teresa and Amy.
You were ordered to pay child support to the defendant for the 2 girls.
That's correct.
According to your complaint, there came a time when one of the girls came to live with you, and there was an agreement that since there is sometimes a lag in the accounting through the court, that any money that you paid after your older daughter Teresa came to live with you would be returned to you. It is your claim that Mr. Pedo owes you $303. Mr. Pedo says, that you actually, despite the fact he doesn't have a counterclaim, owe him for a medical bill for one of the girls. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. The children had been living with Mr. Pito for 8 years. Did you have visitation with the girls?
Yes.
And under what circumstances did Teresa come to live with you?
I had a lady from Protective Services show up at my door. There had been a conflict at their home, and I was under the impression Teresa was hit, and that's why she came to stay with me.
What was the amount of the support that you were paying for the two girls?
$102 weekly.
How long had you been paying child support?
For the whole time that he
For
had
the whole
8
8
years,
years?
yes.
Did you have a discussion with Mr. Pito with regard to the child support when Teresa came to live with you?
Yes, he, when he dropped her stuff off at my home, he had this paper for us to sign.
May I see it, please? Thank you. Okay. You say you'll waive the $104 in child support. That means that each of you was going to take care of one child, and there would be no support paid by either one. Is that right?
That's right.
And that is dated 12/4/01. Was any money taken out of your check after the 4th of December?
Yes, I have all my...
Is that the $303?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge, Mr. Pito, and let's not get to the medical yet, that the plaintiff paid child support beyond whatever these debts are of $303 that you received after December 4th?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Now tell me why you think that you shouldn't have to give that back to her.
Well, Your Honor, when I made that agreement with her, after that, I realized there were still pending medical bills from when Amy had her asthma attack on September 2000, and there was a $1,700 bill. And at that time, she was still required to pay 36% of that $1,700. And after talking to the medical staff that was billing me, she told me that most of it might be taken care of, but at the very least, there's still going to be a $212 balance.
What do you mean most of it was going to be taken care of? What does that mean?
Well, because between her insurance and my insurance, they're trying to see who's the primary and who's the secondary. Before that's settled, and I have to pay the bill, I want to make sure that she doesn't have any more outstanding bills.
So what you're saying is you signed this document, then afterwards you realized that there may be some money owing for a 2-year-old medical bill because the insurance hasn't been sorted out yet. Is that right?
That's right.
Mr. Pito, when you get your act together with regard to how much money you think Ms. Hill owes you, and all the insurance claims have been submitted and ultimately resolved, you have the ability to go in and file a claim against her if she still owes you any money. In the meantime, you have to return the $303 that you accepted from her after you signed this document indicating that you would not be taking any money from her, she would not be asking you for any money. You were both going to assume full financial responsibility for each of the girls that were in your custody. Okay? Now, that's easy. Do you see your daughter, Teresa?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Well, she lived on bad terms, and until she gets her act together, Your Honor, I don't want her in my house because she's a danger. She's
15 years old. How's she behaving in your house?
She's a handful.
She's a handful?
Yes, she is.
I've got a feeling that you got the easier end of the bargain at this point. Is that right?
Your Honor, I've had custody for those girls for 8 years, and the reason for me having custody because she attempted suicide in front of my children.
No, don't go back 8 years. Right now, you have a 15-year-old daughter who had been with you for 8 years, and she's going through a teenage rebellious period of time. So all I said was that right now, you have the 12-year-old who's okay?
Yes.
So far?
Yes.
Right? At the easier part of the bargain. Give her back the $303. That's all.
All right, excuse you may step out.
I had no idea I owed any medical bills. This is the first I've heard of it.
It's hard to pay her back money when I know I still got money coming.
I feel sorry for her daughter. She's been getting in a lot of trouble, but, you know, she really needs her dad. You know, she loves her dad, and it's just too bad they don't speak anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ritchie versus Morales. Step forward, please.
Salesperson Tammy Ritchie is suing her sister, nurse's assistant Christine Morellas for the unpaid balance on a car loan. Christine says Tammy repoed the vehicle, so she's not paying.
Miss Ritchie, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
According to what I read, your sister needed a car. She didn't have good enough credit, so you co-signed a car loan for her.
Yes.
When was that?
January of 2001.
What kind of car was purchased?
The 2001 Toyota Echo.
And what was the amount of the car loan?
Just over $13,000.
And I assume your arrangement with your sister was that she would make the car payments.
Yes.
And maintain the insurance on the car. According to your complaint, she didn't do that. You repossessed the car. You took the car back from her. And now you feel as if she should pay you at least $5,000, which is the maximum allowed in this court, because you're stuck with the car and the payments. Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
Okay. And your sister says she doesn't have the car, so she doesn't see why she should make the payments. What were the monthly payments on the car?
$296.
When did you repossess the car?
April of 2001. She had not made any payments on it, so I had to. I had talked to her first.
When was the first payment due?
I believe in February.
Did you make February's car payment of $296?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I was behind in bills, and
you have no reason.
The first payment that I was supposed to make, I was behind, and it was late, and I had told my sister I apologized that it was late, and that I would take care of it as soon as possible on my next paycheck.
Did you finally pay that car payment?
No.
What about March? And
No.
I'll ask you for proof of all of these things. So in March, you didn't make
No,
car
I didn't
payment.
have the car in March at all.
You had the car in
She had
April.
taken the car away from me.
No, she took the car back in April.
No, she took the car away twice. The first time was in March.
Then she gave it back to you.
She gave it back to me after I had went, and I apologized, and I told her I was late on the payment and that I would get to it, and she...
Talk. Did you make March's payment?
No.
And then you took the car back in April?
Yes, not...
Okay, now, you don't have to say anything else. Your sister's a deadbeat. I mean, what do you want?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tammy Ritchie says her sister, Christine Morellas, owes for a car loan. Christine says Tammy repoed the car prematurely.
What kind of track record did your sister have with you that would have said to you this was a smart thing to do?
Well, it's my sister, and I wanted to help her. She has the 2 kids. She has a job. She said she couldn't get to work, and she was having problems.
So she needed a brand new car?
We wanted to get her a reliable car, something that she'd have the kids in, something that she can go to work in.
How is she getting to work now?
She bought a car.
Really? When did you buy a car?
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Really? What did you use for money?
My income tax return.
What kind of car did you buy?
It's an '89 Honda Prelude.
That's what you should have bought before, not a brand new car.
But the agreement was that she was going to take care of this car and buy a car.
Let me see the papers on it, please.
You want all this?
Yeah, let me take a look at it.
There you go.
Well, what do you expect your sister to do with your debt, madam? What do you expect her to do with your debt?
You know, paying the car and making my payments wasn't a problem.
You
It
didn't
wasn't.
make the payment.
The first payment was late, and I made the agreement that I would pay her, and that wasn't a problem. When we made the agreement the second time around, I was making my payments.
You didn't make February and March's payment.
I made 2 payments.
What do you expect her to do with this car now?
It wasn't a problem for me having the car. It
What?
wasn't. She took the car away from me the
No,
second
it was a
time.
problem, madam. If you didn't make 2 months worth
I was
of car
making my
payments...
payments on the second time around. I was. She
Pay
took the car away
attention.
from me again.
Oh, you know, I mean, are you stupid or what? If you don't make a February car payment and you don't make March...
I made 2 payments in April.
Show me.
She has all the receipts.
Show me. How much
She
did you give
has
you
all
in
the
April?
receipts.
And what happened was, for the first 2 months, payments were not made.
Of course.
Okay,
She
so she didn't
acknowledges
have an
that.
insurance, and I put her on my insurance until she got her own. After I put her on my insurance, the insurance company told me she had like 6 points on her driver's license, which skyrocketed my insurance. I took her off my insurance and said, until you get your insurance back, until you get your own insurance, I'm not going to do this. I can't do it anymore. And that's when she just gave up and didn't want to pay anymore. I tried everything in there.
What do you intend to do with this car?
Well, if things go well today, I intend to take both the cars into a dealership, turn them both in, and apply this as a deposit. If everything goes well today, I
Well,
want to apply it toward a
everything
deposit.
goes well, Miss Ritchie, is a problem. because what you're asking me to do is to say you probably will get this amount of money for your car. And I can't do that. I don't know whether it's going to be $3,000 or $4,000. I have no idea, and neither do you.
I'm sorry, I do. I've looked into doing it. This is not something I've not done lightly. It's taken me a while to do this. The car payment right now, Blue Book's at $6,000, $7,000. The car's still owing about $11,000 on it.
Okay, let me go back and check the Blue Book. The old trusty Blue Book, $7,700 in fair condition. Good condition is $8,825. So let's say it's $8,000. Did your sister give you any money whatsoever towards the car?
$300 total.
Okay.
Your Honor, on the Blue Book value, that's maybe Blue Book, but you can't trade it in for that value.
Listen, I can do the following. I can make an award for you today of $440. If she gave you $300, she owed you $740. And then what you can do is you can go and sell the car, and then you can refile your lawsuit. What is your pleasure? I can't speculate.
I will sell the car.
Fine. Then today, without any prejudice, I'm awarding you $440. You can refile your lawsuit at such time as you sell the car.
Okay.
Perfect.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad it's over, and I just want to go home, and hopefully I don't have to deal with Tammy anymore.
It's not over. I'm going to sell the car, and then she'll be responsible for the difference. It's not over.
She's a control freak.
Of course I had to take control. She took no responsibility.
I'm always under her thumb some way or another.
They need to co-sign her. They can't afford the car.
20-year-old waiter Joe Raymond is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 21-year-old hotel receptionist Lindsay Holmes, for bills and unpaid rent.
Order. All rise. Thank you. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's case number 95 on the calendar, the matter of Raymond versus Holmes.
Thank
Parties
you.
have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Raymond, you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship and decided to lease an apartment together. The defendant moved out sometime during the lease, and you want her to be responsible for her half of the rental of the apartment. That's
Yes.
what the case is about. Ms. Holmes says, oh, she was sort of forced to move out. She'll explain that to me. When did you decide to lease this apartment together?
We leased the apartment February 5th, 2001. We were living previously at another apartment complex, but it was just strictly my name on the lease.
And what prompted you to rent this apartment together?
I was naive enough to think that we might be together for the rest of our lives and maybe start a family together one day, you know? And obviously I was wrong, and...
That's the end of the story. How much were you paying in the old apartment?
I was paying $685.
And how much was the rent on the new apartment?
$870.
What was the financial arrangement as far as the rent was concerned?
That we both pay half, and we were both paying half of electricity and telephone as well.
How many months did you live there together?
Together we lived there for 5 3/4 of a month.
Let's say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, it is correct, Ms. Holmes, that you were paying half the rent.
Yes.
When did you move out and why?
I moved out the beginning of the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August. Throughout our relationship, we had many fights. It became abusive, not only verbally, but physically. And
when did it become physically abusive?
I have here, we both were arrested for breach of peace. We got into a fight. It was at the previous apartment that he lived at.
So you both were arrested for breach of the peace?
Yes.
When?
It was the day after Christmas in 2000.
Fine. Don't give me ancient history, Miss Holmes. After that happened, you moved into an apartment together, and you signed a lease. Were there any incidents of domestic violence between the two of you after you signed the lease in February of 2001?
In that residence?
Yes.
There was no actual police reports for any.
That doesn't answer my question.
There was violence.
Well, tell me about it.
It was just when we would argue, we would get into fights.
You would fight with each other?
Yes.
All right. With each other?
I would fight back because I'm a lot smaller, but there's only so much I can do to him.
All right, you would fight with each other.
To get him off of me. And
Miss Holmes, you'd fought with each other. Why did you move out? And make sure I get a legitimate answer, please.
Because I was afraid.
No.
I was sick.
No. That's not why you moved out. You may have thought you made a mistake and you didn't care for him anymore, but that's not why you moved out. You suddenly moved out.
I wanted to end the relationship.
Right. That sounds right.
I had had enough.
Fine. That sounds right. You didn't want to be with him anymore for whatever reason. Don't tell me what happened a year and a half before when you both were arrested for breach of peace. You didn't like him anymore. You wanted out. Did you have anybody else?
No.
Weren't dating anybody else?
No. I still to this day haven't dated anyone.
That's not the truth, Your Honor.
Just a second. Because that's what he believes in any event. All right. Now, when you moved out, what arrangements did you make with him with regard to the rent and regard to the lease?
I told him that I would pay him for the month after that I had moved out, just to be nice, to help him out, because I understood that it was a lot of money, and that after that he was on his own.
Did she have this discussion with you, Mr. Raymond?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Fine. She said she'd pay you 1 month when she wasn't there and then start looking for a roommate.
Matter of fact, she said she was going to help me out every month, not just 1 month, until it was over.
Did she pay you that 1 month?
At the end of August, yes, or beginning of August, August 1st, she did.
Okay. What kind of search did you do, sir, to find a roommate? Is not an answer.
I tried to find a roommate. My best friend was going to move into the house, but it was just a 1-bedroom, so it was very hard to live with somebody else as well as the dog that we both owned. Really, no one else could be around the dog except for me and her. And it was hard to find somebody to live with a dog that is not their owner.
Mr. Raymond.
Yes.
She moved out a year ago.
Yes.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
February 5th.
When your lease was up?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my best friend.
And what's your rent?
$300.
So you did not attempt to get out of your lease?
I attempted to, but without the $350 lease breakage fee, which I have in the lease right here, they wouldn't let me even try to do it because she has to come up with $350 for the lease breakage fee. As well, she wrote a letter.
Well, she could have, listen to me, she could have, instead of giving you the $435, given them the $350 for the lease breakage fee. And then what would have happened to your rent?
I would have still been able to cover it, probably.
Okay. So instead of spending less money to break the lease, which she could have done, correct? She gave you more money for the month that she wasn't there.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me, Mr. Raymond, after a year, what brings you to court, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Suddenly, when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
And later today.
We have a lot of strays.
Strays are not your problem. Your problem is your 2 cats.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joe Raymond says former live-in girlfriend Lindsay Holmes owes for breaking an apartment lease. Lindsay says she moved out because she was scared of Joe.
Go ahead.
What brings me to court is, well, we still have relation within this year. I mean, we still talk to each other. It was on and off for the past year. And she continuously told me, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you money. And I never received any money except for that one time in August. And I found out that she was seeing a Rocky Hill police officer. And I was very disturbed of that fact.
When did you find that out, sir?
I found this out 3 weeks after she moved out in August. That's one of the main reasons we stopped talking at that time.
That's still a year ago, so what brings you to court now?
To get the money that I feel as if I'm owed, because I owe money to the leasing agent, and
Why?
Because I lost my job in December and I was laid off just doing snow work removal, and I couldn't afford it, so now they're coming after both of us to get the money.
When did you stop paying rent, sir?
I paid September, October, November, December.
December rent was not paid.
Let me see. Oh, I see. You paid with a bad check in November.
But it was...
Sir, so it's 2 months' rent that you did not pay.
Yes, but I had talked to the rental agent, and I had explained them my situation, and they worked with me the best they could.
I have to find, Mr. Raymond, that there was some reason for her not to break this lease, which she could have done for a lot less money than she gave you for the period of time when she was there. For $350, she could have gotten her name off this lease and not been responsible at all. So I must assume that you wanted to stay in that apartment. Now, the difference is really negligible between what you were paying in your own apartment and this apartment. You were paying that yourself.
She was living there as well, but her name wasn't on the lease, and she was helping me.
Helping you is not paying. You didn't take that apartment with the idea that she was going to be paying half the rent.
No.
The first apartment.
I had
right?
I had a lawsuit that I was given, and I had a lot of extra money. And then suddenly when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
No.
It's the way it works.
Got to take care of your own expenses, sir. I think that she gave you every opportunity to fill in the apartment with somebody else for the next couple of months. She tried to do the right thing. She could have just as easily gotten herself totally off the hook by spending a lot less money.
It was still hard for me to find somebody to live with. And...
Get over it.
All right.
Should have tried harder. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's attacked me before. I have a criminal court case pending right now against him.
I'm definitely not a dangerous man.